us to have a sure house. Right? 1 Samuel 2:35 and 36. We found out that there's a house going to be being made. It's going to be a house of prayer that's connected to a unit that says that we're going to receive a wall in the name that's better than sons and daughters. Remember we spoke on that. We said that the name better than sons and daughters is actually to have his nature. That's why when you get to the end of the book, it's his name in their forehead. Amen. It's one thing to be known as Steve. It's another thing to be known in the church as Apostle Steve. But then there's a whole other thing when you say, the works that I do, the Father do. Amen. That's where I'm coming to. Yeah. Yes. So you won't have to be a Philip. Philip was trying to say, show me the Father. Right. Hey, have I been long with you? So long with you? Yes. I and the Father are one. Yes. Huh? Yes. That's the stuff that you live by. That's the stuff that when you're not in the church, you don't have a mixed message. Amen. Yeah, see, that's, when you start talking about character, you don't get a lot of amens. You start talking about the Lord wants you blessed. Everybody, oh God. You coming out on the other side, oh glory. But when somebody tell you on the other side of the Jordan, you got to be responsible. In the wilderness, God does it for you. In the promised land on the other side of the Jordan, you got to do something. Well, anyhow, that's sonship. Sonship is responsibility. Ephesians 3, Ephesians 3 verse 1.
For this cause I, Paul, the prisoner of Jesus Christ, for you Gentiles, if ye have heard of the dispensation of grace of God, which is given to me to you.
Don't be scared because of that word. It only takes men to convolute it and mess it up. The word dispensation in a lot of circles means an allotted period of time. And it is. There's 7 in some circles, 8 in another, depends on the debate and who started it, and if you're Armenian or anyway. You have to go to church history or Reformed theologian, all that stuff. But when we dissect it and go into the Greek of it, and it's a 2-part word, which we'll talk about tonight. So dispensation is not, God didn't entrust it. He allowed man to participate in dispensation. But he didn't leave it to man to determine the course of dispensation. Because right now we're looking at what's happening with Hamas and what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening with Israel. And so many people are on my timeline just getting on my nerves. No, I love y'all. That archaic, antiquated belief system that's connected to Zionism, that's connected to the Old Testament and end time and the last days and the millennium and all those buzzwords, tribulation, post, pre. You got 3 different figments of thought on the tribulation. Is it pre, mid, post? And even in the millennium, you got 3. You know, and the most basic way to interpret anything that's connected to dispensation or eschatology, they are interconnected, they're related, is to understand that you got to have a Christocentric view. Amen. Christ is the lens that I'm able to interpret the voice of God and the hand of God. When Jesus got up on the road to Emmaus in Luke 24, what did he do? He took those boys for a walk backwards. Psalms. Let's go to Luke 24 because some of y'all looking at me like, I haven't read Luke 24 since been a long time. It's not in my notes, but I'm going to include it. Because I want to just say something to the audience that's outside this building that listen to us on the different venues that we have to speak. I just want to comfort them with just a little bit of something. It's not a detailed message, just enough to kind of convince you. Somebody get convinced. I ain't got time to go through this whole thing, but they were having a glorified Bible study. And one of the guys' name is Cleopas. And that sounds like somebody from way back. So it might be somebody's uncle. Well, anyway. But the name, every name has a meaning. His name means father. Father. He was a progenitor. Yeah, historically he had some type of rank. Even though he wasn't mentioned among the 12, he still had status. But his name Cleopas, I think I'm saying it right. Yeah. His name, it means father. So he and another guy were talking about what had transpired in Jerusalem. And they thought, this is it. Ain't nothing else gonna happen. You know, the end was coming. You get what I'm saying? But then Jesus all of a sudden interrupted that discussion. And when he interrupted that discussion, they were trying to tell him what happened, and he was actually the person who received the mistreatment. So even his deity was withheld from him. Got that? Then verse 25 says this.
Then he said unto them, O fools, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory?
Art not who? Christ to suffer these things and enter to his glory? They were telling him about the resurrection and all these things on the third day. He called them, he said, you fools. And then the way we read it is not really the way it should sound in semantics. Oh, fool! And slow of heart. He said, to believe all that the prophets have spoken, ought not Christ to have suffered these things. Verse 27.
And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself.
Concerning who?
Himself.
Not a natural Israel. Concerning himself, which is a Christocentric view, Christ-centered view. Everything that transpired in the writing of the prophets, if you look at it on the surface, it was nouns, people, places, and things. He said all that transpired was a symbolism of who I am, or who I was to be. Those are types and shadows. You get what I'm saying? Y'all are still here. I can tell, you know. So we have to understand Jesus is still doing it the same way. We're not to look at a natural place any longer. We're not to look at what's happening in a location anymore. Jesus even told the woman in John 4, he said, it's going to be an hour and you won't worship in this mountain anymore. So even the worship changed. We're not looking for a temple to be rebuilt because we're the temple. Amen. We're not looking for bulls and goats because it didn't satisfy then. It's not going to suffice us now. Amen. Bulls and goats couldn't do it. Hebrews 10. So you have to understand Hebrews 10 is Hebrews, the chapter, the whole book is a good book to transition us into some thinking that kind of get you detoxed from Judaism and Zionism. Because most of the churches, 97% of the church, believe a certain way that's still slanted. And a lot of the things that happen and transpire we're waiting for happen. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And then on your own time you can read it. But he went all the way to y'all know the book of Moses is 5 books, right? The first 5 books is the books of Moses. So he took them all the way from the garden. And he probably told him, said, remember there was something transpired in the garden? There was a promise given to the man that was spoken that given to the woman that the seed of the woman should bruise the head, the seed of the serpent. That was me. I know he just walked them all the way through that. Remember the rock that was followed them in the wilderness? That was me. So he went through all of that.